Alright. Then I'm going to count us down so that we can go in 3, 2, 1, go. So, immediately you'll see I'm kind of doing some weird stuff. This game is focused a lot on the action and like the fighting things and stuff, which you'll notice with a few mechanics very quickly. So, in order to give enemies like a bit of time to attack you, as well as make sure you're not just spamming attacks too much, this game has a lot of animations that have ending lag on them. And so we're going to want to cancel that a lot. So what we're doing right now is we're doing rocket jumps, where we're doing a melee combo, and then canceling the melee combo by jumping. At the same time in the combo, we get a big boost forward, which helps us move forward faster. However, once we get the dodge on that previous screen, we're never going to rocket jump basically ever again, because we can do dodge canceling, which has the same effect. It's just that instead of canceling a combo with a jump, we're canceling a dodge with a crouch stab, and it's helping us just move constantly at dash speed. Which reminds me, I'm actually able to dodge at this speed, or at this, hold on, I gotta do a trick here, but I'm actually able to dodge at that speed because I'm on casual difficulty, which gives me infinite stamina among many other benefits. And there I just did a skip, where basically that cutscene, there's one frame where it's skippable, and so I use like an outside window, like I click on OBS to unfocus the game, to pause the game, so I can kind of buffer that one frame and skip a cutscene that's usually not supposed to be skippable. It's pretty neat. But we got the dust storm from that, and the dust storm is this game's main thing. So that is very important. We're not going to actually use it as much as the game may want us to. We're going to use this a lot, though. We have the aerial dust storm, which lets us do aerial dodge cancels, which you see here. Let me dodge cancel, not only in the air, but dodge cancel a lot faster. Basically, we're going to want to do this a lot, which is going to be good, because a lot of our movement's going to be based around the air. Here, I'm going to set up for a little thingy later by loading an autosave on that to save point. And then I'm just going to keep on moving through the glade here. This is actually a really good glade so far. I've not been dealing with a lot of these red barriers right here, where, since again this game is a lot focused on fighting enemies and stuff, the game has red barriers where if there's an enemy on the edge of the screen, it won't let you leave until the enemy's off the edge of the screen. And the game implies that it wants to kill all the enemies. We usually just try and either go above the enemies or try and knock them off the screen. Because, you know, those are just two better alternatives. And our last bit of movement tech here, I'm doing a rising dust storm, where I'm starting a mid-air combo, and then halfway through, I'm just canceling I'm canceling halfway through an aerial combo by using a aerial dust storm for a little bit of time to preserve the height. And I'm basically doing a part of the combo that elevates me without doing the part of it that lowers me. And hey, infinite height. And now we're in Aurora Village, which is kind of going to be one of the major areas of the beginning of the game here. It's going to be pretty useful. Even in later parts, we're going to use it to set up some skips, but for now, it's just kind of like our main area. You meet a lot of major characters here, like that was Ginger, and we're going to meet the mayor pretty soon as well, who's going to thank us for saving a farm that we didn't actually save, because when I did the Rising Dust Storm stuff, I flew over the trigger to start the mini-boss that, where you save the farm. I think I need to sell 3 of these, yeah. Do I have enough stuff to sell? No, okay. So I usually want to have enough stuff to sell to buy 6 teleport stones here, but I'm 20 gold short. Okay. So I'm gonna just buy 5 and buy the last one later. Good. And then that's the mayor. We have to talk to him to get the quest to continue on with the game. The way the game tracks progress, you'll see the bottom left corner. There's a quest called Dust to Dust. That quest is basically just the main quest of the game. And the game updates your progress by reading what your current objective in Dust for Dust is. And certain things will change what the objective is listed as. Here, I'm getting absolutely destroyed by terrible luck, so I should explain what I did. So if you remember stuff with, like, Aurora Village and, with Aurora Village and the Glade, there were these cutscenes at the beginning where it showed me around. What I did at the edge of Aurora was I bullied an NPC into the loading zone, and then I exited the area at the same time I talked to the NPC. So that cutscene override the cutscene where it introduces me to the forest here, and it saved about 7 seconds. It takes about 7 seconds to set up, and the cutscene is about 15 seconds long, so it actually saved 8 seconds. Let's go. So now we're in the forest here, and I'm actually doing pretty good with red barriers. As I mentioned, if you can't get an enemy off of the screen where there's a red barrier, you're going to have to fight the enemies. And we're actually not going to want to fight a lot of enemies throughout the prologue in Chapter 1, not just because it's slow to do, but for a reason you'll see, hopefully, if I get it. It involves experience points, I'll tell you that much. So I'm going to hope I don't have to deal with any of these red barriers throughout the forest here. Which includes using Fidget here to try and stun enemies in place. Fidget can fire projectiles that I can combo with the Dust Storm to do absolutely crazy stuff. It can keep enemies in place, and since I have infinite stamina, I can use it infinitely, which is great. Stalling a little bit there, let those enemies stay there so I can get onto this screen fine. And I should explain how I'm moving so fast right now. So you might notice that, hey, sometimes I'm flying upwards super quickly when I'm, like, not rising dust storming or anything. This game's combat is kind of based on, you know, getting to enemies as quick as possible. So when you're in midair and you do stuff like do an attack or do an aerial dust storm, if there are enemies, like, close enough, the game will actually try and home in on enemies, which allows me to do kind of crazy stuff in midair sometimes, like you've seen. We need these 2 bombs here for a little thing. I need to go over here. And then I need to bring this bomb up here. This is just faster. I don't need a second bomb. I only need 1 to break open the wall with the yellow in it. And there I got another key. I'm going to need another key for something coming up real soon. We're going to do one of the most important sequence breaks in the entire run, called Early Flesh Sheath. Basically, usually to climb these vines, you need an upgrade called the Iron Grip, which is all the way in Chapter 3. But, however, using Rising Dust Storm, we can actually climb this vine-filled area right now and get the item at the top of it. The item at the top of it, as the name of the trick Early Flesh Sheath implies, is going to be the Flesh Sheath, which ups my attack by 150. So it's a very good item that I'm going to use to fight a lot of bosses, which we do have a boss coming up. So it's good to be able to deal with that. By the way, that was a joke. We're actually going to be skipping the first boss. This is going to be Fuse Skip. There we go. First try, I did a jump, an up input, and a dodge on the same, at the same time to jump off of the save point and try and save the game at the same time. The game, you're never intended to do something like that, but for some reason, because of the way save points work in this game, which is really weird, if you are not on a save point as you save the game will recognize your vertical position as the same one as when you save the game, but the horizontal position will stay that at the save point. So you can use that to clip into the ground, where the game keeps a collectible there. It keeps a hidden ability. And that ability, actually, you're not supposed to get it. It stores it there until after the boss is dead. So, by keeping it there, when we collect it, the game thinks we've already beaten the boss. So, when I collected it, when it was out of bounds, the game was like, oh, you have this, so you've already beaten the boss. So we were able to leave. And here I'm actually going to get a skip, which I'm really excited, because the last couple times I've played this game, which I've done this game at, like, I did this game at 2 marathons last weekend, and I got this skip neither time. But I'm very excited to be able to get it this time. You may notice how close I am to leveling up, and you may recognize when I leveled up just a little bit ago, there was this big explosion that knocked me back a little bit. So what's going to happen here is I'm going to kill this enemy so I can go onto this screen. And then, once that happens, I'm going to level up once I entered this cutscene. So that was the enter area cutscene for Siramon Caverns, which is the main area of level 2. However, as soon as I entered it, I leveled up, and the explosion pushed me backwards, back through the screen transition to the previous screen. And so the game... But since I was already on this screen and the cutscene started, the game was like, you've already been introduced to this area. So when I went back through the loading zone, the game didn't play the cutscene again. So if you're good enough to... Or it's kind of lucky sometimes with how the red barriers work. So if you get lucky enough to, like, not have to deal with leveling up twice in the first chapter of the game, you can do that skip and it saves 15 seconds. So now we just have to go through the caverns here. When I go down far enough here, enemies spawn here. So I'm able to just boost back up after getting that bomb, which I'm going to need to blow up a wall that's right below me. There we go. Come on. Thank you. And then there's another bomb. I killed all those enemies that were up there because... I don't want any of them hitting this bomb when I do this. And now we're going to do another kind of misplacement with the save point height. I'm going to dash off. I don't need to jump on this one, so it's slightly easier. I just need to dash off of that save point while saving. And then I go in the wall here, and this skips 2 kind of sets of cutscenes. You notice I've been able to skip cutscenes, but there have been some cutscenes where I skip the dialogue, it plays like an animation or 2, and then it gives me another set of dialogue I can skip. Basically, there's 2 sets of, like, 3 skippable dialogues in that one room. But by going under the floor, I can skip that, and it saves a little bit of time. I was supposed to go back in bounds, like, at the beginning of this room, but I messed up. There you go. Yeah, so you can go back in bounds, like, using... using enemies to boost you upwards, and then you can go back through the floor. Here, I hit the trigger for a cutscene that has infinite vertical range. That cutscene was actually happening below me. Yeah, this game's weird. But it's a little funny thing you can do. It doesn't save actually much time at all, if it even saves any at all. I like doing it, though, and I'm glad I was able to show it off rather quickly there. That was really lucky. That's one of the few screens that usually is basically required to fight enemies to get rid of the red barrier. So the fact that I didn't have to do that there, I'm, like, really lucky. This is another screen like that where there's, like, an 80,000% chance you're gonna have to fight enemies. But whatever. I skipped that one red barrier. That's usually really hard to do. Trying to get a boost off of a spider here to go all the way up. And then boost off of this guy that's going to be on this screen to go right here. And then I hit this. I'm going to do another kind of messing with my height. Or messing with my height on a save point thing. To get stuck, because that's what you do all the time. There we go. So now I'm going to try and skip a little mini-boss thing here. Where that was really bad almost. I'm going to try and stay on the really low parts of the screen to try and skip the mini-boss trigger, which is probably right about here by now, so I probably already am past it. Try and Rising Dust Storm back in bounds. And then what I'm doing here is by turning around right as I hit the screen transition, it makes me exit the screen right as soon as I enter it. And since there's an enter area cutscene on that screen, by leaving, the game's like, okay, you've already been on this screen for the second time I enter it, and hey, I don't have to watch that cutscene, another 15 seconds saved. So now we meet Vopo, who I was supposed to meet in that cutscene I watched at the wrong height, but I did not because I watched it at the wrong height. And basically, we have to help them because their father is sick, and the water that helps heal is not running. So we're gonna try and have to get it running. But first off, I'm gonna go up here. And this bomb wall will be important later. I also talked to the grandpa guy because he has an item that's really good. And that is the red resonance gem, which lets me open the red resonance gate, which was that thing I just opened. So now we're in a lower part of the cavern below the village. Mudpot's kind of like a village down here. I should mention that if it wasn't readily apparent to anyone. It is a village. Not really as important a village as, say, Aurora, which we're not going to see much at this point. We're going to see it one more time in the run, but not for a conventional use. So I guess I should mention one thing that's going to actually be important with an upgrade we're getting real soon. You might see me getting a lot of speed off of some of my dodges sometime. If I'm on the very edge of a platform and I do a dodge like this, I'll actually get like a lot more distance and speed off of the dodge, which is kind of weird, but pretty cool. We can use it in some cases whenever we need to dodge off a ledge. Or another thing we can do off a ledge is slide, which we just got right now. So yeah, now we can slide through small holes, kind of Mega Man style. You hold down and press the jump button, and look at that, you're sliding. It would be pretty fast, however, we do have dodge cancels on our side, so we're not going to use them as often because there's no way to cancel them like you can dodges. And here, I'm going to go up here. You might have noticed I peeked upwards onto the screen for like a second or so while I was in Mudpot. If a screen leads to the world map, whenever you go to the world map, you can enter the area from that screen. So I went on that screen, so after getting the slide, I could just use the teleport to go back there. And I guess I should take this time to clarify. That's not a warp. This category, you might have noticed, is called Warpless. Warping is a glitch that's exclusive to the PC version, which I'm playing on, in which... It's exclusive to the PC version, in which you need to use your mouse. And you can do some weird stuff with the map when loading into an area in order to basically warp wherever you want the first time you enter an area. And I'm not exactly sure how it works because I don't run any warps categories, but that's basically banned. So instead of just warping to where you need to go, you can just, like, you know, actually get there. Which I think is more entertaining. It shows off like more of the game and more of the movement, which is really cool movement in my opinion. Also some cool combat, like the boss coming up. We're going to have Lady Tethys, who is usually in control of the water I mentioned earlier, but is kind of not herself right now. So we have to fight that. I'm kind of low. I usually want to be on the platform above me right now to set up for a stun lock I'm going to attempt to do, which I got anyways. So here, about halfway through, I want to wait a little bit before continuing the stun lock, and if I do it right like that, I can just crouch stab until she dies. Don't know why it works, but it does, so it's a good way to kill her. And with that, we're going to get out of here. And now we have a lot of cutscenes to go through right here. There's going to be a lot of animations in between the cutscenes too, so I can't do too much about it. Just kind of, I don't know, if you have anything to say, like an announcement or a donation or something, this is probably the best time.
I will give a sort of schedule update. After this, you're going to see Crypt of the Necrodancer by the same amazing runner you have right now.
Yeah, also me.
Very good run. And then we have a Super Mario Bros. Warpless race. 2 Warpless in a row. Interesting.
Yeah, nice.
And a Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Auto-Scroller Olympics all events. And you'll understand what I mean by auto-scroller when the time.
Yeah, that's you. I'm actually taking over host while you're doing your own run. So that's going to be awesome.
Yes, there will be plenty of times to do plugs and donations.
Nice.
So if you want to donate there, because we have 19 minutes of auto-scrollers we got to get through somehow.
I mean, you can donate at any point, really. And if you donate $10 at any point, you get in the running for something. I think, yeah. I don't know. Oh yeah, also, this is our main villain.
Donate at any time. The link is down below.
Alright, yes, that was our main villain. We were supposed to watch a cutscene with him after Chapter 1. However, based on the method I used to leave Chapter 1, I didn't leave Chapter 1 on the screen. I'm supposed to leave Chapter 1 on. So it didn't play that cutscene, because that cutscene is actually told to play when I leave Chapter 1 from a certain screen. Also, I did another cutscene skip there. So by loading the autosave, usually the game waits to play this area's welcome cutscene until, like, you're on the second screen. However, by loading the autosave from the save point on the first screen, the game loads you into this area, obviously, because it's part of this area. But it doesn't recognize it as, like, a place before the cutscene. It recognizes it as its own area, so... as part of the area, so it skips that cutscene. So this is the Sorrowing Meadow, and there I just got an item called the Pendant of Beauty, which upgrades my attack by another 60, in addition to the Flesh Sheath's 150. So we're just powering ourselves up more for later game enemies, which are going to get very harsh. Despite all the upgrades we're getting, we're not going to be doing the greatest on attack coming eventually-ish. We will have another opportunity to get ourselves a good amount of attack upgrade, which I'll talk about more when we get over there. There was a mini-boss I was able to stun lock by crouch stabbing and then just juggle, or not by crouch stabbing, but by sliding under them and then just crouch stabbing. Well, juggling by crouch stabbing. There we go, those are the words I want to use. And here I'm going to set up a trick called Sorrowing Bomb, where I'm going to take these 2 bombs and try and carry them far enough to use in a later part of the level. Something I never explained earlier when I was doing something similar to this to get to Lady Tethys earlier than intended by using an alternate path, which is what I was doing with that bomb while explaining what warps are, is that if you just go back and forth between screens, you can kind of mess with the bomb timers to make them way longer than they're supposed to be, which allows you to do some crazy bomb stuff like you're seeing right now. Also, we met Cora there. Cora was a character we originally were supposed to save back at the end of the prologue. However, as I've stated, I kind of, you know, flew over the prologue mini-boss. And there was Sorrowing Bomb. I used the bombs from a few screens ago to blast those holes open instead of getting bombs from the left of the left side of that little tunnel. Saves a little bit of time. Please, just thank you. Now I need another bomb, which I'm going to use. Go down here. I need to break all the things in this tube. And there's a bomb right here, which I need to use. I'm supposed to have the Iron Grip by now. I mentioned back in Chapter 1, you get the Iron Grip in Chapter 3, which lets you climb vines. And I'm honestly supposed to have it. I flew over a part of the level where I was required to have it. I was supposed to be required to have it to get into. So I had to do more stuff without the Iron Grip. But it's fine, because I did it. And now I'm going to just make a quick pit stop over here. If you remember, the same reason I did that thing back in Chapter 2, where I went onto a different screen just to warp to it from the world map later, that's the same thing I'm doing with that screen right there. So I get onto that screen, leave, and then continue on my way. Cora tasked us with getting 4 items from 4 mansions. So we can do them in any order. We're not supposed to be able to do them in any order. We're supposed to do one specific one first, which has the iron grip, and then with the iron grip, we can go to any of the other 3. We don't care, though, because we can fly. And, yeah. So, heading up on the first mansion we're going to go to here, which is intended, I think, to actually... There is an intended order based on, like, a hidden thingy you can find in each mansion that kind of hints at the intended order. I think this is intended to be the 4th one, which there only is 4. So that's fun. There, I leveled up. Doesn't really matter at this point. The only time experience really matters all that much is back during that skip I mentioned at the beginning of Chapter 2. There's going to be one point where we level up a few times that I actually am going to abuse. But for now, experience does not matter. Because, like, you'll either get 4 levels up or 3 level ups based on your current level. So it doesn't matter where I level up at this point. Because I know I'll have a certain amount of experience by the end of a boss. Also, we're being chased by this ghost thing here. Basically, the 4 mansions, we're going to get chased by this ghost thing. There's supposed to be an introductory cutscene to this ghost thing. However, we skipped what was intended to be the first mansion, so we're not going to see that until we actually go over to that mansion. But once you get the item from the mansion, you just need to get out. Pretty simple enough. Okay, now I need to go down. Can I just say something for like a little bit more? Like, less than a minute? So, this is actually another chapter that's pretty alright for donations, in all honesty, so it's good you're asking that now, because this is fairly repetitive. We're gonna just have to go from each mansion to the other. And it gets only more repetitive with what I did earlier. So, by warping over to... By getting that screen I can warp to the world map from, I actually... all mansions you get to, you're gonna have to get to them from the middle of the map where Korra was. And the fastest way to get back to the middle of the map is actually gonna be warping to the world map and then entering Sarang Meadow from that point I entered a few minutes ago on the world map that I mentioned. And then with that explained, yeah, you can read a donation or so now.
We have a $10 donation from Manix86 saying, put this towards completing Small Fire Mario incentive. Take that Esmo and Super Mega Dave. So, with that being said, the Fire Mario incentive for Super Mario Bros. has been met. Coming up here in about an hour.
Nice. Small Fire is really funny. Yeah. I'd actually like to give a shout out to someone in the community known as Glimmy, who does the mansion that everybody else does second last for some reason. Nobody knows why, but they do it, and it's actually a viable route. It's not a warp, it's a teleport. It's 2 completely different things. Completely. Oh yeah, Esmo practicing their speedruns. Very good job. Alright, here we have our second mansion. This is my favorite name. This is my favorite mansion name. Samachua Mansion. I have the mansion names memorized because I don't know, actually. So we did Nanoth Mansion first. Nobody cares about the mansion names. I just did it to make my split look cooler. But this one's pretty simple. I also have to make sure I actually collect the item at the end of each mansion, so there was the second item there. Once I collect the 4th item, there will be a cutscene, so I can use that to make sure I haven't missed an item. But I don't think I missed an item. And if I did, well, that's not good. Gonna get a... Okay, that's a better boost. I'm also gonna go down here to get a boost over that wall that I flew over earlier. And then just fly up here. Now we're gonna go to the bottom left, which, when I talked to Korra, I got a green resonance gem. And so I can use that upcoming to go to the bottom left mansion, which is where I'm intended to go first. We're gonna get the iron grip soon, basically, is what I'm saying. Also, these necromancers, they're awful. You cannot hit them with... You can only hit them using fidget. So you kind of have to make your movement... Do your movement correctly so that you can kind of bully them using your dust storm to get them off of a screen transition. Because if they're on a screen transition and they're red barriering you, no, you're just done for. The game is just going to not let you live. So you really have to watch out for them. Fortunately, that one right there is the only major Necrodancer that's a threat. And so we found a way to make it, like, never a threat. Which is why I'm doing specific dust storms at certain parts. So now we're on our way to our third mansion. Which is, alright, down here. Here we're going to do a little thing that's not intended. What we're supposed to do is jump down into this hole, destroy this beehive that's here, and then take the bombs up a wind stream. However, if we just stand here in Dust Storm, we can destroy the beehive and all the bees in it, and then once the bombs regenerate, we can get them back by just standing there and Dust Storming again. So using that, we just skip some stuff, and we are in our third mansion now. So Bardell Mansion here was intended to be our first mansion, which you'll see, we have a cutscene introducing the ghost to us now. The ghost is invincible, I should mention this, but you can boost off of them. And until you're done getting the item from the mansion and the ghost is gone, there are not going to be any enemies in the mansions. Which there will be once you're done. But yeah, here's another example of trying to get a boost off of the ghost. And then this is the shortest mansion. It's this one screen. And then we get the iron grip, which lets us climb on vines. A very good thing to have. Yeah, we can finally climb on vines now. Those vines that I've been flying over this whole time, we can climb them now. Isn't that amazing? And this mansion has a teleporter back to the central area right to the left of it, which the rest of the mansions do not have something like this. So we can save a teleport stone by not having to teleport back to the area I usually teleport back to from after a mansion. And now I'm going to go up here on our way to our fourth and final mansion, Dorimo Mansion. Or Dorimo, I'm not quite sure. Game's weird. Lots of weird names, like Dust. Who names their child Dust? That is unfortunate. No, in all actuality, I never explained that part of the story that was introduced in the beginning. Dust is actually just an amnesiac. Does not remember anything. There's the sword. The sword that we have flies to him suddenly and calls him Dust, so we just kind of go by Dust even though we don't really know who we are. Who we are is explained very weirdly. But at the end of Chapter 4 is basically a big moment, but I'm going to not try and talk about the story for the sake of spoilers, because I basically skip enough in between dialogue and gameplay in this run to where you can probably still get a good enough experience playing this casually after watching speedruns, and I really do encourage that you play this game casually. It came out on Switch, like, earlier this month, so you can play it on that if you want, but it's already on, like, I think it's, like, already on every other console, and it's on Steam as well, which is, as I mentioned earlier, it's what I'm playing it on, and if you want to do the Warp speedrun, you have to do it on PC. So, you know, whatever you want to get it on, you can. And then here's our final mansion. This one is Oh, my bad. This one is probably the most fun to move through, in my opinion, because it's got a lot of, like, interesting just, like, boost places and places where you have to gain a lot of height using the iron grip. Jumping off of vines is surprisingly fun because of just how quick you can do it. Like that. Also, it's just a really lot of boosting off of the ghost here, which is something I wish the mansions kind of used more in speed tech. So we're going to collect this. This cutscene signals that we've gotten all 4 items. And then fall down here. Very fast fall. Navigating this mansion with enemies is painful. We're gonna Rising Dust Storm over this set of blocks because it's faster than destroying them all. Alright, and now that we have all 4 of our items, we're gonna go over here, teleport back to the same place I've already teleported to like 3 times. Don't worry, we're almost done. This is, again, the longest chapter in the game. And a lot of people do not like this chapter casually. This is, like, probably the least popular chapter in this game, is this one. And I can definitely understand that. Fortunately, despite all the repetitiveness of it, or the repetition, rather, is the better word to use, it's still a pretty fun chapter in the run, in my opinion, at least. Because this is just a fun game to move around in, and it has a lot of solid moving around. There are actually, like, 2 OOB strats I don't know that can save, like, I think both, if done right, around a minute combined. I think each of them save 30. I don't know them, though, so oh well. Alright, and then now we have to talk to Cora. And we're going to have a boss fight with the Ghost. And with the power of the 4 items we've collected through the mansions, we're going to be able to damage the Ghost. So the Ghost is named Baron Cain, I should mention. And Cain has 2 major attacks. When you're close enough to him, he has an attack where he can summon zombies, but if you're close enough to him, he'll never do that. So what he'll do is he'll either, like, stomp his hand on the ground like this, or he'll do a swipe attack. We want him to do the stomp, because then we don't have to dodge out of the way. And near the end of this fight, you're going to see, I'm going to pause the game. No, don't go into the how to play. Go into the settings, and I'm going to switch my difficulty from casual to normal. And then try and finish the fight like a normal person. Like that. There we go. That was scary, actually. Because if you die on casual, you get free revives, but you need a reviver stone to revive after dying on any other difficulty. Now we're going to level up all the way to level 9. And so, here I'm going to use this. Okay. So, what just happened there, you may ask? Good question. There we go. So I switched back to casual. There are some accessibility settings that are locked to being on when you're on casual difficulty, and one of those is skill gems. So, skill gems, basically, whenever you level up, you get a gem which you can put towards one of 4 stats. If you're playing on casual difficulty, the game will auto-assign it in the order of HP upgrade, attack upgrade, defense upgrade, and fidget power upgrade. Fidget being the projectiles that I don't really use at all. However, if you're on normal, you can assign them yourself. So by switching to normal difficulty at the end of that fight, and then we get like 4 skill gems from going from level like 5 to level 9. And I can put all of them towards attack instead of them all going to a different stat. So we switch difficulty there just to up our attack like a lot. And that's going to be our last attack upgrade for the run, actually. And this is Blackmore Mountain. This is going to be Chapter 4. This is my favorite part of the run and the game. It's just a giant climb up a giant mountain. And it's a ton of fun with all the movement in this game. We're going to have some big skips coming through this area. But first off, we need to go over here to allow some pieces to fall into place. We just need to get through here as fast as we can, and there's going to be a mini-boss. And this is one of my favorite things to do in a marathon run, because what I'm going to do in this next part of the game raises a lot of questions from people that don't know the run. So, if you have a very obvious question, that may pop up from what I'm going to be doing in this next part, please ask it, because I'd like to laugh at your confusion. But we're going to fight this mini-boss here, because as you can see, there's an ability behind the mini-boss, and we want that ability. One thing I can do to make this mini-boss good is if I knock them into the spikes like this, I can just get them, make them take 100 damage, like, constantly by being, like, hugged, like that. Basically being clipped into the spikes, that you can do a lot of damage with that. There we go. So here's our... Nope, never mind. Please, just... Thank you. So now we have the double jump. Which is pretty good. I really like double jumps, so this is a nice addition. Again, if you have any questions about this, please ask them. I want to laugh at you. Alright, we need to go up here. So this is a new form of movement we have with the double jump. Is we can do a dodge, kind of like a dodge cancel type thing, except instead of canceling it, we can just immediately jump into the air and then start trying to use an aerial dust storm, and it gives us an insane amount of speed. That's not the answer to the question, though, that I'm thinking of. But this is a thing that might raise questions. What the heck's happening now? I need to get rid of this wolf because it's going to get in my way otherwise of what I'm about to do. What I'm about to do is this. So there's a small little place there where I can just clip in, like, I can dodge in between two small hitboxes and get out of bounds here. And now, what I want to do is this. Alright, so now I'm in the ceiling, right here. And once I fly up here, I want to be around here to spawn some enemies that are in this area. And, okay. There you go. Alright, so that was Ice Cave Skip. What you're supposed to do in this part of the game is go through this ice cave to cause an avalanche so that you can continue climbing the mountain. However, by clipping into the wall there, using that pillar to go into the ceiling of the ice cave, and then flying upwards, you can make it to a part above where the avalanche is supposed to happen, and skip causing the avalanche by going inside the ice cave. Saves a lot of time. Very good skip. And now we're just going to continue up Blackmore. Alright. Here I want to go this way, so this enemy I want to boost off of right here. I'm going to use my double jump. And now, alright, cool. Okay, so now I'm going to do some damage boost stuff here, where I'm going to try and get up on that platform that's above me right now by just doing a bunch of damage boosts. There we go. I want to be right up there and then just continue moving. If a wolf jumps to the right there, it can red barrier me, which is very rude, and I do not like it to do that. Here I can boost off of that by luring enemies with a double jump. Here is actually, there's wind pushing against me. However, I have weather effects off, because if weather effects are on and you can see what this wind looks like, it would kill my bitrate. More than this game already does by just existing. So, yeah, they're off. But there is a wind pushing me to the left right now. I'm just dodge canceling right past it all, though. And here we're going to have a pretty big skip. There's supposed to be a mini-boss fight with a few, like, guards. However, I'm going to skip it by flying over it. I'm going to double jump, and I'm going to start just getting in some rising dust storms. Once I'm here... this is bad. I didn't want to hit this cutscene, because this will start the mini-boss. I'm just going to load the autosave that I hit. And then try it again. There's a cutscene if I go too far to the right, so I don't want to go too far to the right. And there we go, second try. That's kind of a tricky one because there are some skips like that are a bit more lenient, but that one you have to be like directly against the... You have to be directly against the ceiling there. And when you're against the ceiling like that, sometimes the game will just not give you what you want. Like, it'll just lower you because, like, the game doesn't want you hugging a ceiling like that, obviously, while you're flying. Which you're not supposed to be flying. I should stress that. I'm not supposed to do that. So, yeah, there we just learned a lot about the story that I'm not going to talk about for reasons I mentioned previously. Did not want to do that. But now we have another cutscene with the main villain before we head into the final chapter of the game, which is exciting. Before I do that, though, before I go to the final area, I'm going to go back to Aurora Village one last time. So I can do Failed Glitch again. I did Failed Glitch to skip the Enter Area cutscene for the main area of Chapter 1. And now I'm going to do that for the main area of Chapter 5. Which is the Moonblood Camp. So I'm going to load into this, and then I'm going to have a fail cutscene that I can skip. There's another NPC you can do this with on the left edge of the village, but it's slower to do it with that enemy than it is with this guy, or with that NPC than it is with Fail, so we use Fail. And here we're in Moonblood Camp. So here's the question I was hoping someone would ask. If I have an infinite height glitch, why did I get the double jump? Well, I'm about to do a skip here, called Yellow Gate Skip, where I'm supposed to do 2 things for the Moonbloods in order to get a yellow resonance gem. However, so that I can move on further through Everdawn. However, there is a way that I just demonstrated to go out of bounds here in the Moonblood Camp. And there we go, right above me, you see the yellow gate. So that was Yellow Gate Skip. This skip requires the double jump to do. However, it saves more time than double jump skip. So it's worth it to take so it is possible to skip the double jump, obviously. But it is actually faster to take the double jump so that you can do Yellow Gate Skip rather than doing double jump skip and then having to get the yellow gem. So if that answers your question that I wanted you to ask, but you probably didn't, you're welcome. And here we're going to head into the final area of the game. We need to bomb open this wall so we can go on to the next screen. And I don't think I got that. Nope. Alright, I was trying to do one more Enter Area cutscene skip, which I got basically every other one in the game, so I'm okay missing this one, because this is probably the hardest one. Has the same setup as the Mud Pot skip. You're just supposed to turn around at the same time you hit the screen transition. And then you're in Everdawn Basin, where there's basically a war taking place between the army of the main villain that I've mentioned many times when we've seen them in cutscenes, as well as the Moonbloods, which we're on the side of the Moonbloods. So we're gonna have to try and stop the General Gaius is his name. He's the main villain. I'm gonna fly over a lot of this because there's a lot of enemies on the ground that I just don't want to deal with. This is the best way to deal with it, is just not deal with it. And then once we get to here, we're on the 4th screen. I noticed the mini-map going to be pointing upward. So around here, I'm going to start just doing dodge cancels. And, alright. Once I'm up here. This red barrier actually does not exist. You can walk right through it in most circumstances. I did not want to hit the map button, but I accidentally hit the map button. We're good. Dang battleships, though. Hitting me in midair. Thank you. Gonna try and just get away from that one. There's gonna be a cutscene here. We're gonna get a warp. If we want to do anything before going to fight the final boss, we can hit that teleport orb to go back to the entrance of the Moonblood camp. We're not gonna need that because we don't need to go backwards. Right here, though, I'm gonna stay as high in the air as possible. So you see these cannon shots have begun. We don't want to get hit by the cannons. The cannons are random, actually. However, for some reason on this first screen, if you fly at the very top of the screen, they'll never hit you, and then you'll like immediately get hit once you enter the next screen, and now you have to deal with the luck. So what you're supposed to do here is take cover by going underground to avoid the cannon stuff. However, since we're on casual and we don't die, it is actually faster to just kind of brave the cannons. Instead of doing the underground stuff. But they are luck-based. They can fire, like, wherever they want. And even when you have invincibility frames, if one hits you, it can just totally change your direction, which is an awful thing. There are bloms on this vine, which allow us to climb up it like that instead of actually using the vines. And now we're on the last couple screens before the final boss. That's the last cannon we have to deal with, at least, was that one over there, so don't worry about that. This guy is on the edge of the screen, so I need to kill him to get onto the next one. And here. Alright, now we're on to the final boss. So we're about to fight Gaius soon, but what I'm going to do before that is pull out a glitch from Chapter 2. Going to do a save point kind of manipulation thing. Going to save the game. Go out of bounds with it. And by doing that, we're actually going to fly up here, and I'm going to hit the trigger for the final phase of the boss. So now we're on the final phase of the 4th phase fight against General Gaius, where if he'll let me, thank you, there we go, we can actually do a stun lock here. He parried me, so he can randomly parry you for no reason in midair while you're trying to do the combo, and it's awful. Please let me do the combo. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to do a midair combo like this, where I throw him into the ground. I spike him, as I like to call it. And basically, in order to prevent him from kind of having problems, he can't go in the lava. So when he jumps into a lava or falls into a lava pit, he'll like air jump right back out and get some invincibility frames. We skipped the other boss that actually uses invincibility frames, which was Fuse, the first boss back in the forest. However, the jump is long enough to cancel out the invincibility frame, so by the time he lands, we can actually just combo him again. And, don't do that. This is an awful Gaius fight, but it's almost done, so. Yeah, here we go. I'm just gonna hold this. And explosion. The game's almost over. At this point, now all we have to do is just crawl to the right until we reach the final cutscene. So time's gonna come up in under a minute, and it's when we lose control of Dust. We just have to do some very slow crawling here for a little bit. Very slow. This is the most annoying part of the run, for sure. Is just waiting for this crawling to be over. It's almost over. Come on. And time. Alright, that's the game.
You're not Cassius.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are. But Cassius is gone.
Alright, cool.
That was a really good run, by the way.
Yeah, so looking at this, I actually... Oh, never mind. Okay, I got really excited for a second. No. So I have my own timer up because the runner guide said to have my own timer up. This was a PB. Just gonna preface, this was a personal best. By a little bit over a minute, about 1 minute and 15 seconds. I thought I bopped fifth place, but 5th place is 53:40. So I almost bopped 5th place. Alright, cool. I didn't expect that to happen, but that was a really good run. I'm really happy with that.